Welcome back. Well, just one more look at this. Remember when the GMD of NNPC did talk about the removal of fuel subsidy, you could call it whichever name, on the recovery. So getting some of those stakeholders now to get their reaction and how they intend to operationalize this one. We hope that, we got Alhaji Abdulkader. He is the chairman, Board of Trustees, Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, that's IPMAN, and also the Group Executive Director, NIPCO PLC and 11 PLC. Good morning, Alhaji. Thank you for coming on today. Well, you must be happy that this is the situation now. Is that the case with you, and how do you see this playing out?
Well, as the GMD have indicated to the country that the market will be freed, I think that is the best thing that could happen to the nation, because there is nothing that is permanent in this world except change. And we as Nigerians, we cannot be different. And above all today, we are doing over recovery. So, and I believe with freeing the market, I believe that marketers will make more money, the consumers will buy product at a cheaper price, and efficiency will come into play. And NNPC themselves, they will be free from burden of subsidy. Sometimes it will be their word against the government and other industry players like ours. So I believe freeing the market is nothing better. There is no time better than today. This is the right time that the market should be free, so that we as marketers, we as industry players will be able to increase our efficiency, so that we'll be able to make more money and we'll be able to deliver the product to the consumers at a cheaper price.
Alhaji, you know, when you use the word free consistently, but you now say that marketers will be able to charge, and then they will make more money, the marketers, but the consumer will be able to buy the product at a cheaper price. How do marketers make more money if consumers are buying at a cheaper price? And does that mean that when they're free, it means you could charge us whatever you want?
Yes. What that one means is that because you see, for now, NNPC is the dominant player, and we are compelled to buy product from them one way or the other. But if we are to buy our product ourselves, because of our overheads, because of also other exigencies of NNPC, as a private sector, we should be able to access this product at a cheaper price. That is exactly what I meant. And if you look at NNPC, it's a government organ. It has its own bureaucratic system, which we in the private sector, we try to avoid. So what I mean by accessing the product much more cheaper, because I know that as a major player in the downstream subsector of the oil and gas, I know how we get this product at a cheaper price by ensuring that we don't allow demurrages. We also truck out within a very short time. So all these are areas that you can save costs. But if you depend on someone else to do it for you, then definitely other incidental charges will be added to you, and that will translate to the consumer.
Right. You know, a lot of people are wondering who is the greatest beneficiary of this subsidy removal. Is it the marketers or the people, or it's a win-win situation? But I'd like to add to the fact that, yes, we've been talking about deregulation. Do you think that the removal of subsidy is equal to deregulation? Because I've not heard that term being used, but do you think they are the same thing?
Yeah, they are virtually the same thing. There is no difference between freeing the market and deregulation. But what you should also ask is that today, when you are operating a guided market, that is when you are operating a regulated market, even if the crude is cheap as it is today, the consumer still buy it at a premium. Today, even at 123 naira 50 kobo, if the market is totally deregulated, marketers will be able to get it cheaper and sell it cheaper to the consumer. That is exactly the benefits of deregulation. Secondly, the state governments will be able to have more funds at their disposal, and they should be able to pay their salaries as and when due. The nation would experience a very good infrastructural development, which the subsidy regime has been denied for quite a long time.
Well, when you talk about the price, 123 naira 50 kobo is what it is right now, but some even think that it could be lower. In fact, some are saying maybe lower than 100 naira. Do you think that is feasible now? I mean, you know the figures, you see the landing costs, you operate on a daily basis. Is that feasible?
It is quite feasible, because you see, if you look at the international parity today, if you look at the plat today, if you look at the pricing, there is still a little gap there. So I think it is quite visible to sell the product a little bit lower than 123 naira 50 kobo, and that can only be achieved through a free market. But under a regulated market, someone else will take somebody's burden. But when it is free, every corporation, every company will take its own liability. So each and every company will be very careful on how it accumulates its own burden on the company, because if you take much more time in accessing your product or in trucking or in selling the retail outlet, then you are on your own. And marketers will be compelled also to sell this product at competitive prices. No one would like to sell at a premium, because no one will come from you, your turnover will be less. So therefore, freeing the market, I think, is the best thing for now. But I will just add here as a caveat that NNPC, DPR, PPRA needs to meet up with the stakeholders from time to time to give a guide, so that the ban should always be checked, so that no one exploit the other. Because the essence of freeing the market is to enhance efficiency, to enhance the quality of product as well. DPR is there to check the spec, to ensure that the product is coming to the country is of standard. And while the PPRA is there as an umpire to ensure that everyone that is importing this product into the country has followed the due diligence.
Shed more light. Earlier on, you said there's still a gap. Just how much gap do we have?
Well, you see, in the dealing with pulp products is something that is not definite, but that's why they call it a ban. A ban is a range. A range, for example, today, as the product is at 123 naira 50 kobo, I believe by the time the market is totally free for marketers to import on their own, I believe that the ban could still come lower than what it is by at least 5 to 8 naira.
Now, do you still see, I know you have mentioned the PPPRA a couple of times in your convo with us right now, but do you still see a role for the Petroleum Products Pricing and Regulatory Agency in a free market?
Yeah, they still have a role, because you see, DPR still has to issue a license, and the PPRA has the data of all the marketers, while the DPR are the technical organs that check the specs of the product, and as well as the quantity that is coming into the country, alongside with PPRA. So PPRA will still be quite relevant.
PPRA will not be determining the price of the products for your people.
No, they will always partake in determining the ban, not the pricing, not to give a fixed price.
Okay. Now, the price we have now, 123 naira 50 kobo, is because of the price of crude in the market now. What happens when that increases? What happens when the price per barrel increases?
Yeah, as it increases, the price of the petroleum product also will be increasing, but it will not be increasing sharply as under the regulated market.
Do you see a situation where different petrol stations will be selling at the petroleum products at different prices?
That is the essence of freeing the market. Definitely, you will not get a fixed price. But as the deregulation matured, the difference in the retail outlets will not be up to 1 naira. By the time the industry understood the deregulation very well, you will find out the difference between one retail outlet to the other will not be more than 50 kobo to 80 kobo, because efficiency will come to play, as I keep on mentioning, and quality of supply, the quantity that will be dispensed to consumers. All this, every marketer, every company will ensure that you don't need a monitor to check you. The public now will check you, because no one will buy my product if I'm under dispensing. So therefore, every company will ensure that their pumps are dispensing at the right quantity.
Well, I've driven around the states, not in all parts of the state, but most of the stations that I've been to, they're still selling at 125 naira, some 125 naira 30 or 50, contrary to the 123 that is supposed to be the case. Why is that so, even several days after they said that they wanted to clear the old stock?
It will continue to be so. Yeah, it will continue to be so, because that is part of the game of deregulation. Deregulation does not mean that if PPRA say the minimum price is 123 naira 50 kobo, that does not mean that every marketer will sell at 123 naira 50 kobo. Some marketers will sell at 123 naira 50, some will sell at 124, some will even sell at 127. That will be the choice of a consumer to choose which station that he intends to take his product, because every retail outlet display their prices at the retail outlet.
But why is it then that when they then say, okay, it's back to 140, everybody goes to that same maximum price? Nobody goes a little below the maximum price?
No, I disagree with you here. You see, this was happening very long time ago, but of recent, you can see that even when the product was sold at 145, there are still some marketers that sells at 130, 135. The reason is because once you have more product, you want more turnover, you have to reduce your price. You have to also give the quality supply to people to ensure that you have more turnover.
Well, I don't think I saw anywhere when the price was 145 that any station was selling at 130. In fact, some even sold above 145. So I'm not sure that that was, or maybe I'm missing the point here.
Rural areas. You are talking about isolated case in a rural area where a very small marketer is trying to profiteer from one truck or one compartment. We are talking about the majority marketers, the people that sells at least 50, 100 trucks in a month. You cannot afford to play with your pricing and the quality of the product you are dispensing to the public. Nobody will come to you.
I'm sorry, just to clear the air, are you saying that when petrol was sold at 145 naira, that some of your members actually sold below that?
Sure. If you don't sell below that, you will not be able to have correct turnover, because it is a game of number. And in fact, the regulation itself now will make it more practicable that if you don't sell more quantity, you will not be able to make any profit. You will not be able to break even. And therefore, you will not be able to pay salaries. You will not be able to maintain your company.
I'd like to also talk about the price of diesel and kerosene, because a lot of people have showed concern, saying that they expected the price of diesel and kerosene to also come down as a result of this drop in petrol price and the price of crude in the international market. What is happening to diesel and kerosene?
Well, you see, as the market grows, people also are diversifying. I don't think that independent marketers and poor people are much more concerned with kerosene in particular today. People have migrated from kerosene to LPG, that is a cooking gas. So I believe that kerosene is no longer a poor man business. Kerosene are majorly used by construction companies today. So I don't think that affects the common man like a diesel. Diesel, I agree with you 100%. It affects the common man. It's the product that is being used to evacuate produce from the farm to the cities. That I know that NNPC need to do much about that, because that is the product that affects the common man. That is diesel. So, and I think with the freeing the market now, both marketers and NNPC, I believe we will access dollar at the same rate with NNPC. So I believe that there will be level playground in the system. And the market will be free, and everybody will, it's going to be a win-win situation. But as far as DP have migrated from DPK to LPG, and I think all what masses need to do now is to appeal to the NNPC and federal government to ensure that there is more LPG skids across nooks and crannies of this country, so that we should be able to discourage deforestation.
Right. You know, I'm sure you will know that a lot of Nigerians, they still have to depend on kerosene for, their daily cooking. But, concerning diesel, correct me if I'm wrong, but as at the 6th of this month, the landing cost was still at about 121 naira, but it's still sold at 230.
Interestingly,
yeah.
Kerosene is more expensive than LPG.
Absolutely.
So I don't agree with you that masses will be interested in kerosene anymore. If you look at us in NIPCO, for example, we have a portable cooking gas that is affordable, and
I understand that. Now I'm talking about diesel.
1,200.
I'm talking about diesel now. The
Yes.
landing cost at 121, and it's still being sold at the same price, which is concern for many. So when are we going to see that discrepancy dropping? The same with petrol.
Well, I believe from our last discussion with the other stakeholders, I believe that NNPC marketers, I believe that we are going to access dollar at the same rate with anybody, and I believe that that will change the whole structure, because before this time there was a problem of accessing dollar, but I believe the GMD have spoken to us that we are going to access dollar at the same rate with NNPC. So I believe that that will give us SOCO, and my consumers also will have SOCO from that axis.
Just on a final note, we've seen various companies, organizations, doing their bit during this COVID-19 period, donating what they have, food, some donate other material. What is IPMAN doing at this time to ease the burden on people?
Well, I believe that IPMAN as a body have done their own bit at various states. As you know, that IPMAN structure cut across 36 states of the Federation, and on every state, they were mandated to give their own token to their own state. You don't need to come to the federal level to give your contribution, leaving the needy at your own hamlet, coming to the urban center to donate for the rich. I think IPMAN is very diversified, and that have been taken care of at different states and different zones, respectively.
So no free petrol or gas or whatsoever for people?
Petrol is never free anywhere in the world. We only contribute what is possible for us to contribute. We have contributed, some have contributed drugs, some have contributed what they can afford to their local hospitals. And as a corporate organization, as NIPCO, 1 PLC, we have contributed our own quota at the appropriate level. And I think it's good enough, and we'll continue to eject our own little funds where necessary. We are praying that the COVID-19 should finish before the 14 days given by the federal government. That's our prayer, and it appears God has answered our prayers. You can see that you will agree with me that the COVID-19 is not too active in Nigeria, so we should continue to pray that let it die out naturally like that.
And we're also praying that the fuel price will have mercy on Nigerians at the end of the day, eventually, such that everybody can be happy. But We do thank you.
I believe that, yes.
Yes.
I believe that the pricing of the petrol today is friendly, and
Today. What about tomorrow?
The federal government, NNPC, has come at the right time. The ground is so fertile, the price of the crude is so low, and you don't expect the price of the crude to just grow overnight. It is not possible, and we pray that before that time,
Alhaji Aminu Abdulkader,
the efficiency in the market will reduce.
All right, Alhaji, we need to go. We appreciate your time this morning. Alhaji Aminu Abdulkader is the Chairman Board of Trustees of IPMAN, that's Independent Petroleum Marketers Association, and then is also the Group Executive Director of NIPCO PLC and Double 11. We're back in a moment. Stay with us. Yeah, still trying to wrap my head around that fuel being sold at 130 naira per litre. My colleagues didn't tell me where that was being sold.
Which of your colleagues?
The ones looking at me right now. So they could have told me.
Okay, right there at home.
No,
Please tell us. Let us know if you actually saw that happen. Go to our Twitter handle and let us know.
I thought I was in another country at that point when he said it, because I thought, which fuel station sold at 130 naira per litre when it was 145?
If anything, some even sold above that. But hey.
Oh, yeah. But see some comments coming through now. Akubo says, today is April 10. Okay, not April 1st. Stipend has not been paid. Oh, dear. At least this government should encourage us to abide by the social distancing. Oh, look at the hashtag. Stay home, save lives.
Next one is from Musa Yakawada. Says, the NSIP is a great initiative from the APC government, but some politicians are using it to enrich themselves. NPower beneficiaries have not been paid March stipend, but they move around disbursing 20,000 naira to those he calls unknown faces. This is done manually, which will be hard to trace. Are you suggesting something there?
Well, while you're thinking about that one, this is from Amaslik, your best coach, says, since the SIP was moved from the vice president's office, it has been a tale of different stories. I think in the best interest of Nigerians, it should be returned to the office of the vice president. Your opinion?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so let's also bring this. Journalists, you know, when they talk about social distancing and ensuring that things go right, we need to also look out and ensure that that is also observed, because when during the coverage of that from Kakidile's matter, take a look at that. I mean, this was not what you expected. So they threw caution to the wind. I mean, yes, we need to strive and get the news, but it should not be at the expense of our lives. We should stick to that.
Yeah, especially when there are some basic things that we could have done, used face masks, hand gloves,
and social distance.
And social distance.
Yes.
I mean, what about security agencies too? Look at that security agency, a man who also, those are just so many things not just going right. So we need to internalize, backtrack, and correct some of these things. So there you go. That is your show today. We'll see you next time. I'm Chamberlain Oso.
And sure to have a good Friday. Yes, it's Good Friday. I'm Kyle Kikiolu.
And I'm Ayo Makinde. While you're staying safe, have a happy Easter.